Tony, tell me about this new unit. Who is she? What can I expect?
Master Machinist Abigail, who will be joining us on February 16th. So just in a couple of days, will be joining us.
Okay, thanks. Now it's my turn to read it.
Yes.
Master Machinist Abigail's Trustmaster reward is an accessory with decent defensive stats. The elemental resistance is a great addition though, and when equipped onto Abigail herself, she'll automatically cast AI assistance every turn, summoning the ghost of AI Katie. AI Katie will then activate an HP barrier for Abigail, restore a small portion of your team's HP and MP, and recover morale. Outside of morale fights, the magnitude of the HP barrier is very underwhelming, and the morale regen won't be useful because duh. But the recovery regen is nice. Her Super Trustmaster reward is a staff. The staff can only be equipped onto magic tanks, but those stats are great! When equipped onto Abigail, she'll also get an extra 1000 spirit. Still, even if you're not Abigail, you still get to benefit from the HP and spirit equipment stat buff, as well as the nice elemental resistance provided from the staff. On to her active abilities. Abigail has access to several magic spells. Karaga is a good healing tool, while Shoga can be upgraded to stage 3. Bubble and Protecta can only be awakened to stage 2, though Bubble is kinda nice. Veil gives your team resistance to status ailments. And Firaga imbues fire onto your team, and buffs their fire damage by 35%. While Firaja boosts your team's fire resistance by 200%, gives them a 50% triple mitigation buff, and fills your team's limit burst gauges by a decent amount. Drone Cover buffs your team's stats by 230%, gives them a 50% general and magic mitigation buff, activates a strong magic cover for Abigail, and restores some morale. Anti-Physical Mechanism inflicts an 87% attack and defense break, buffs your team's defense by 250%, and gives them a 30% physical mitigation buff against beasts, humans, aquatics, and insect-type enemies, and restores the same amount of morale. Anti-Magic Mechanism is the same thing but magic, inflicting an equal level magic and spirit break, buffing your team's spirit, giving them a magic species mitigation buff, and restoring morale. Drone Decoy is provoked too, but with a morale restore. Support Drone, Flamethrower, deals fire magic damage that scales off her spirit stat and raises morale because you're watching a drone with a flamethrower, chains the bolting strike, and fills the morale gauge. Support Drone, Laser, is the same thing but light, and chains of absolute mirror of equity. Enemy Data Analysis Pax Libra, removes their buffs, and restores morale. SP Drone Type -F Plus is another buff removal plus morale, but also inflicts a fire imperil and raises your team's fire resistance. Methodical Mitigation gives Abigail a Omni Cover, plus a 90% general mitigation buff to help her survive. Contingency Plan, Phase 1, restores her morale, lets your team evade 2 attacks, gives your team an HP barrier that scares of morale, gives herself a better HP barrier that also scares of morale, and on the turn after that, we'll start Phase 2. Phase 2 fully restores Abigail's HP and MP, doubles the morale, and applies the same HP barriers. But then, the turn after that, we enter the final phase, where the morale restore is the same, but the HP barriers are increased by 2/3 and 1/4 respectively. This change is even more dramatic as it scares of morale, as Abigail introduces the best HP barrier value in the game. Biothermal Generator can only be used once per battle. It buffs your team's defense and spirit by 400%, gives them resistance to breaks, stop, and charm, and lowers Abigail's fire resistance by 100%. However, she then gives herself the ability to absorb fire, nulling that demerit. SP Drone Type -L inflicts a L and buffs your team's light resistance by 200%. Ah geez, we're finally done. Now, passives. Tony, take it from here!
Alright, so yes, the featured EX ability. Just go over just maybe one, let me just introduce the contingency plan phase 1.
Never mind, I'll do it. But for Trustmaster reward or Super Trustmaster reward equipped, Abigail gets extra HP and spirit, cuts her MP cost in half, and changes her normal attack to perfect productivity, which restores 1/3 of your team's HP and MP, while filling their limit burst gauges. She also has a nice booster limit burst gauge fill rate, boasts a significant amount of physical and magic evasion, though the physical part isn't present until EX plus 2, and a great deal of passive provoke. She's also got a nifty Brave ability, which reduces enemy encounter chance by 50% while exploring a map, and also automatically inflicts an 80% full break and fills your team's limit burst gauges by a decent amount at the start of the fight. She also packs 3 of her own guts buffs, and greatly prefers carrying a single weapon. At EX plus 2 she gets Scout Drones, which gives her extra defensive stats, and automatically activates a Warring Spirit at the start of the fight, which is compounded with a preemptive 200% fire resistance buff and a strong auto magic cover. It also gives her that physical evasion we saw previously. At EX plus 3, she gets Smokescreen Machine. This smoke somehow gives her extra stats, but in a more practical way also starts the battle by inflicting blind and filling some morale. Her elemental resistance is also really good, 40% across the board and fire and light rising above the rest. Let's look at her Limit Burst. Inflicts a 1-turn 20% weapon imperil and gives the team an 80% general and magic mitigation buff. As a Super Limit Burst user, Abigail has access to Spirit Shift, which automatically boosts her spirit by 250%, her Limit Burst damage by 200%, and fills her Limit Burst gauge when the Super Limit Burst is ready to go. The Super Limit Burst raises the weapon imperil to 30%, the mitigation buffs to 85%, and applies a double 60% species mitigation buff against the species I've mentioned today. Let's rank Brave abilities. I'd prioritize SP Drone type -F plus to raise both the Fire Imperil and Fire Resistance buff, and then Tactical Concealment to make it easier to cap her stats. So, EX2? As a Super Limit Burst user, Abigail automatically benefits from additional EX Awakenings. This really rings true given her Super Limit Burst buff duration, and we all know just how effective an EX plus 3 tank can be. Of course, it's not just stats serving as the primary incentive. EX plus 2 also gives Abigail more stats, and that physical evasion, plus Warring Spirit and the automatic fire resistance and magic cover buff. The latter might be pretty important, given that Abigail actually lacks auto cover without it. Her Super Trustmaster reward is also very good. Great stats, good elemental resistance, strong passives, and of course best for Abigail. EX plus 3 is just stats and a bit niche, but overall the benefits of a EX plus 3 Super Limit Burst is amazing enough to carry. Unfortunately, it's really good. Which brings me to how good is Master Machinist Abigail. She's really good. Not only does she copy Runda's tanky kit template, but she also adds onto it and improves. The respective mitigation is the same of course, but she also has better breaks, better stat buffs, and overall better passives, while with her evasion and elemental resistance. The latter aside, the first two are things you can just get from other units, but they're good things nonetheless. Furthermore, we also have to talk about the stuff she adds on. Species mitigation and fire absorption is niche and depends on the fight, but she also packs a strong Omni cover, buff removal, and some scarily scaling HP barriers. This is seriously just a cooldown ability? Furthermore, her normal attack is also really good, copying Chao's HP and MP restore, but multiplying that by 4. Her weapon imperils don't last that long, but depending on how you build her you can apply them pretty consistently. This all culminates in a unit with 3 rows: Magic Tank, Supporter, and Debuffer, which also gives her access to a variety of role-limited equipment for creative use. They really could have thrown Healer in there too, but oh well. With that being said, she's not omnipotent. Aside from status ailment resistance, the other standard resistance buffs are one use only. Her elemental resistance extends to just fire and light, and her elemental support is just decent fire. Furthermore, her damage sucks. Nevertheless, Abigail is an amazing unit, and surprisingly manages to retain a nice divide between the scopes of the magic tanks as opposed to invalidating them. Well, except for one good boy, whose canine companionship might one day be replaced with AI technology. Thanks for watching, and if you like this video, leave a like and subscribe. Comment below if you summon Master Machinist Abigail. Overall, if you're looking for a Neo Magic Tank, you can't go wrong with her. I'm pretty confident that next time they release a Neo Vision Select ticket, Abigail will be right up there on that list. It's such a pity that for such a great unit, we know absolutely nothing about her. May as well give us a break.